It's Friday, so it's time for our SB show. Let's start it. Let's just speed it up and add some rock music. I'm so happy, guys, I can do this SB show finally, because the house we are living in with the new studio is almost finished. You will see lots of interesting work being done right here. But on today's SB show, you will get to know, number one, it is the off season, so riding off the XC tracks to the single tracks. Can I see the advantage of the so-called progressive geometry? Number two, you will see something new in my studio. And number three, you will get a very important advice for all those who are training on the bike for performance. Marin 1 2019, that's the bike I'm riding on this episode. You will see the dropper post on this one, but I borrowed it from Pro here in Poland just for some testing reasons. But number one, the model 1, doesn't come with the dropper post for 2019 at least. But if we look at those progressive geometry charts for the bikes, you can simply copy it, paste it on the Marin Hill, and you will get a Marin Hill. I had been riding the so-called Glasency Singletracks in Poland, but guys, did you know that it is almost finished, or even finished, that you can actually ride from Poland through Germany, maybe Czech Republic, or then France, but anyway, you can ride through the whole Europe riding just on the mountain bikes and mostly on those single tracks. So this is a great project to connect our countries in Europe and have one great single track. And if you want to go touring, this will be something amazing, because most of those single tracks are not really difficult ones. Let's get back to the Marin 1. Did I like the bike? I liked the bike a lot, and I am 100% sure that if you really get into trail riding, if you're not as extreme as enduro and not as performance oriented as XC, I'm XC rider mostly, for trail riding on a budget, Marin number 1 is a great choice. Progressive geometry, I would just shortly explain to you that the progressive geometry on the bike means having short back end, longer front end, shorter stem. What is it for? The bike has to be maneuverable, so it has to get into all those trails, berms easily. That's why you want to have short chainstays, 43 centimeters or 430 millimeters on the Marin Hill for 27.5-inch wheels, and then the front end is longer and more safe, and this is the most important factor in my opinion for the progressive geometry. Okay, numbers, just some numbers. This is the head tube, So the front of the bike. This is 90 degrees. This is, let's say, we are getting into XC bike, so 70, now 69.5, Marin Hawk Hill 66.5. So the slacker it is, the more forward the front wheel goes, which means you will not be afraid of riding down the hill. And if you're just a beginner rider, progressive geometry is amazing. It's not only for the fast rider, but for the beginner riders it will be more safe. And in a second I will explain to you how does it work on those single tracks, but first off, let's see what happened in the studio. I hope you liked it. I'm loving it. And now let's get back to the single tracks. The progressive geometry. It will allow you to ride fast down the hill. It will be much more safe for you on the progressive geometry. In the corners, you will be able to do with the bike whatever you want. It will just go the line you are showing the bike or you are leaning into. That's great. On that geometry, you'll be able to put more weight on the front wheel. Why is it important? It is very important because I would say there are three steps for those beginner mountain bikers. Step number one is that you don't know anything, and whether you ride down, up or down, doesn't matter. You sit on the saddle, you brake the front wheel. On the downhill, you go over the bar. Even if you don't brake with the front brake, because super beginner riders won't use the front brake, they are afraid of it, you can hit the rock, hit the root, you go over the bars. So then step number two is that you learn to move your weight towards the rear wheel, going just over your saddle with your upper body over the saddle. That means you are much safer on the steep descents. But the problem on that step is that now you will be always riding just leaning towards the rear wheel, which means you have less weight on the front wheel, and when you really need it and you don't put that weight on the front wheel, you lose the traction, which means you crash. And so that 66.5 degrees head tube angle allows you to put more weight at the front when you need it, so when you don't need to go over the rear wheel, and you won't be afraid of going over the bars, because that front wheel is really, it feels far away from you comparing to the XC for example, or some older geometries of the bikes. I really like the approach of the World Cyclery guys, the owner of that store. The link to the video is in the description. Is making some amazing videos. One of those videos is comparing the progressive geometry to those maybe not old fashioned but just older geometry on the trail bike, and he says that it is not something huge, but it does matter, and in my opinion you won't be much faster on the progressive bike, but you will feel safer, and that means you will make progress in your learning faster. That's why progression in the geometry does work. Okay, a bit about the components of the Marin Hawk Hill 1. This is a budget trail bike, one of the cheapest and well-made trail bikes. We've got, for example, 1x10 drivetrain, which is more than enough for trail riding. If you're just riding for fun, it's okay. So guys, you don't need to upgrade your 10-speed cassette to 11 or 11 to 12-speed cassette unless you are really into climbing and you are doing lots of climbing meters every week. Rear X-Fusion damper working well. Front RockShox Recon RL. And this is what I want to mention, because you remember when I did the video, I need to re-upload that one because it was taken down. I don't know why. I did purchase the music for that video. It will be uploaded then, maybe even before this video. But anyway, RockShox Recon RL, 130 millimeters of travel on that bike versus RockShox Recon RL Gold, 100 millimeters with the remote lockout. I've been testing till last week. When you just touch the stanchions, you will feel the difference that the RockShox Recon RL is made better. They are more just sleepy. That's why on that servicing video I'm telling you that you should be servicing RockShox Recon non-gold more often, because I don't think that these dust seals are able to seal around such made stanchions on the RL non-gold. But then on the other hand, the RL on this Marin Hawk Heel versus the RL Gold I've been testing is more quiet, and I feel like it was like less spongy. I know this is 130 versus 100, but that 100 was pretty loud. And when I posted a picture on the Instagram and I said, guys, please give me one advantage, one disadvantage of this fork, many people would write for the Gold that it is quite loud. And now, before we conclude, it's time for that advice I promised you. If you are a performance-oriented road cyclist or a mountain biker like me, cross-country mountain biker, and you just think about it, you happen to write to somebody on Facebook, social media, or even you talk to the real person and you told him or her, you see, I don't feel like going out and ride, I'm kind of tired of my training. Just remember, training regime, the schedule, it puts a lot of fatigue not only on your body but also on your mental forces. So it's normal to be fatigued, but find yourself time for such a therapy as a trail riding. You see, those guys, those trail riders, they can be sometimes overweight, they can eat junk food, but when they sit on the bike, they do it for fun. So try to remember, why did you sit on the bike in the first place? It will help you a lot. Trail riding is great. Feel the flow, feel the fun. Don't turn on your Strava. Don't search for the segments on the new single track. When you're going up the hill, just one the lowest gear. Look around, look where you are. It will help you so much. The training passion came later, but when you sat on the bike, you felt, okay, this is it. I think I'm loving this. And that's how I'd like to conclude this video. Thanks for watching. See you on Monday. And number 3, you will get a very, very important advice for all of those who are training on the bike for performance.